It's time for another installment of The Basics, and I'm going to be focusing on real game scenarios for the next little while. And on this show, I want to show you what happens when you're deep into a game of Magic the Gathering and you start running out of cards. So you're almost at the end of your draw deck and you only have a few cards left in your hand. So I'm going to show you how to work this. Okay, this is every Magic player's worst nightmare. In this scenario, the game has gone on for about an hour. Your discard pile is huge. You only have a few cards left in your draw deck. Your hand is only 3 cards. And you're probably wondering this late in the game, what do you do? There's 4 main things you have to take into consideration at this point that will determine the outcome of the game. Number 1, what's left in your hand? In this case, I have a Swamp, I have a Crypt Cobra, which is a 3/3 creature that costs 4 to bring out, and I have Drain Life. Drain Life does 1 damage to a single target for each land spent in addition to the casting cost. Caster gains 1 life for each damage inflicted. So it costs 2 to bring out, plus any land to help you get that damage. Which brings me to point number 2. How much land do you have left on the table? Whatever mana you have left will determine your course of action, not just for what's left in your hand, but those last few cards you might draw as well. I'm showing 6 here in my hypothetical scenario. You could be a lot less, you could have 2 or 3. Unfortunately, at this stage of the game, land usually does figure out the outcome for you. Your third point, what's left in defense? In this case, I just have a 0/1 wall of shadows. Not a lot of defense. That's going to be nullified or nuked or something very quickly by my opponent. We're both struggling to complete the game and actually win. We're both down in life total. We both don't have a lot left to do because we're running out of cards. And that brings me to my 4th and final point. What is your life total at this point? I'm showing 4. My opponent's about the same, either 3 or 5, somewhere in that area. Your life total at this part of the game will determine what you do more so than the mana. If it was up to me, I would use the Drain Life and use all of my lands and do as much damage as I can to take him down fast. It might not work out, and depending on what color you're playing, you might have different cards left that might do similar things, but your focus should be inflicting damage as much as you can with however many turns you have left. It's that simple. Even though it is extremely rare for a game to go anywhere near an hour or more, you still have to be prepared if it does end up happening to you. And it is going to happen to you at some point. You can't just sit down at a game of Magic the Gathering and expect to win within 10-15 minutes. It doesn't work like that. Some players can pull that off, but most games take a bit of time to complete. And those 4 things I showed you are what you have to take into account if you do get that deep into a game. Because everything that I mentioned to you will determine the outcome of that game. Have a great day, everybody.